Yeah, hello everyone. I'm testing the stream just to be sure everything is good to go. It has been a long while. Let's see. Yeah, you can see some of my gaming setup here. I'm just checking to see if my stream is working. Then we can start. All right. It looks like it's up and running. Yeah, you can see some of my gaming setup here. I'm just checking to see if my stream is working. Okay, so then we can start. So what I'm going to do is right, it looks like it's up and running. Right, it's up and running. This is good. All right, so yeah. Hello everyone. My name is Kolawole KO Coding, and I'm here. That was a tongue twister. I'm here to there's this project I've been working on. It's a multi-tenant app that I've been working on to set up multi-tenancy and getting things go with basically more around creating an app that allows for multi-tenancy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to the project is built around Angular, Node.js. I have the Node.js running on the cloud function. Then I also have like a number of different stuff attached to the multi-tenancy. We have your custom claims and things like that. So it's basically the setup is Firebase, Angular, Node.js or the GCP, and I think that's like the major things to talk about. So I'm going to move the code to the front now. Let me just open up the projects, then I'll be able to move on from there. So hold on. I also have set up this project a while back, but I don't think I've had the time to run through some things. So let me just find the project and we can start moving. Yes, almost there. Oh, seems it's already open. I already have it open. All right, so this is it. Yeah. So I've been basically what I've been trying to do is to get a number of things running within the project. So the project is composed of a number of projects. I what I did was I bought a template and I'm now customizing the template for my particular setup. Um, these are some of the different components of the project. So, but for now, I'm focused on those the authentication and authorization part of it and the multi-tenancy of the app. This backend is more or less the same as this one. This upload here CV this CSV is something that we'll need to do. Is a different project, but at the end of the day, it should be comprised of those two projects. So there are a lot of different things, and this is the Angular project right here. I'm going to try to get a number of things running. I'm using the Firebase emulator to run the projects, and I'm also trying to make sure that as the project is running, I'm able to test it locally without having to deploy it. So I have my Firebase emulators. I have my Firebase emulators here running locally, and I'm able to test a bunch of things. Basically, what I'll be doing now is making sure whenever I log in, I ensure that everything runs the proper way. So just before I do that, let me just quickly create a new note here and quickly explain how the project works. All right. All right, so just a reminder, it's Firebase that has within it. Let me zoom in here a little bit, just for everyone to see it. It looks tiny to me, so I don't think everyone can see that screen. So let me zoom in a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, so it's control equal. So it's a Firebase along with it's using the multi-tenancy plus custom claims within those multi-tenancy, and inside of all that I have a backend which I should put on the next line here, Node.js, which is running on the cloud function within GCP also. If I remember how to spell. And one other thing is Angular itself too. So Angular has is like a token service within Auth, and it's also running using Firebase for authentication too. Not forgetting that this stuff, the other things, this is not like the total encompassing aspect of the project I'm working on, but there are a number of interesting things to take note of. These are like the basic things to pay attention to. Yeah, all right, now I'm going to zoom out. This looks so big. It looks like grandpa zoom lenses. So zoom out is this. Yeah. All right. So I think I like this. I'm going to keep this open. So I'm just quickly going to explain what a multi-tenancy is. So let me just bring it up here. What is multi? I'll be using ChatGPT to also write the code and stuff like that. So I'm just give me a moment to drag it over here. All right, so here's something that I explain multi-tenancy on Firebase. Multi-tenancy spelling wrong, I think. Yeah, the spelling is wrong. So basically, multi-tenancy, the concept of also this is specific. This is not Firebase. You know what? Let me actually do it with Firebase so that it's more specific. But a general, you'll be able to understand what the general stuff is all about. So multi-tenancy is basically like a tenant name. You can think of something like let me think of a good common project that makes sense. Yeah, I think image will be a very good way to explain it. Yeah, so let me just find an image here. You can see everything. I'm just off the top of my head. It's not like I had everything ready to go. So maybe yes, this is a good example of multi-tenancy. So basically, think of your multi-tenancy versus your single tenant. Think of it like you log into your notebook app. It loads your note and things like that. But if it's multi-tenant, there can be a number of organizations managing the app and the database. So whenever somebody logs in, it finds out where they are supposed to be, then it goes to that particular database version and logs them. Instead of everybody having their own specific database or general one, there's one that loads a particular tenant that handles that kind of database. I'm going to show that very soon. I think a more good explanation is people logging in, then they log into the app, then the app goes to log their particular database. So everything streams to, rather than having it one to one, it has a way of like looking at and spreading it out. So I might not be using the proper language, so let's just look at it with text. So explaining here, it says multi-tenancy, implement multi-tenancy in a Firebase Auth architecture involves creating tenants within a single database. Each has its own set of users and data. Yeah, this is very good for software as a service platform, SaaS platforms, for education platform, marketplace app, and white label apps. So let's just quickly look at this. So basically, who needs it and what kind of projects use multi-tenancy? Basically, it allows you to logically separate users into groups. Yeah, that's a very good way to explain it. So those are the tenants while using a single project. So instead of you having different databases for different tenants, it's still everything is within the same database, within the same app. Then whenever that user logs in, it sets up the custom claims and brings out the necessary user the person is supposed to be. instead of having different versions of a different database, it is just one central database. Whenever a user logs in, it knows what kind of data to log and open up to the person. And there are a bunch of different stuff explaining what multi-tenancy within the cloud platform and how you set up the authentication ID. I've done some of these things already, and I'm looking forward to explaining them properly. So I'm also trying to be very careful because I'm coding live. I don't want to show you guys any of my keys and stuff like that. So in case I make that mistake, I might have to shut down the project. But my plan is to ensure that everything works properly. Yeah. So I hope that makes sense. All right. So back to the actual code. I think I've explained what multi-tenancy. Now I'm going to start my apps. I already have like instructions on what you, how to start the project. So I'll start them very soon now. Just give me a moment. Resume out. So that's control minus. Yeah. All right. So that's it. So now back to the project. Let's see. This I call this project MOU, Memorandum of Understanding project. So it does a bunch of like other different things, but these are the main things. The project is a kind of project for dealing with a company's MOUs and allowing users within different organizations to log into the app and load their specific organizations. So that's the real life implementation. Whenever someone logs in, instead of them loading all the data within the particular database, I'm trying to make a explain a scenario how I'm using multi-tenancy for my own specific case. You log into an app, you open up the app, and it's instead of loading all the database that exists, it will exhaust the database meant for that particular group. So think of like 20 organizations on a multi-tenant. Instead of logging in and loading all the data for all the organizations, it only loads the particular tenant ID and their database. So whenever somebody else tries to log into the application from a different user, it will not allow them to log in because they won't have access to that particular database. All right, so now I'm going to start my project. Let me start first and foremost with the Firebase one. I think to start the Firebase one, I will just go terminal, new terminal. I'm using Visual Code. Then I pick this the Firebase one. Then I go ng serve. So that should open it, and then I'll open my database, which is a little bit different because what I'm doing there is I'm doing it locally and stuff like that. So I'm running locally, so I'll run my Firebase stats, which is already here because I've used it in the past and run it. I've not touched this project since I think November, so I might be forgetting some things here and there, but this is basically the way it should be run. Excuse me. Yep. So it's going to load the Firebase emulator, and it has successfully opened up this one. You know what? I'm going to actually close these terminals from last year, from the last time I was working on this project. So there should only be two right now. So this is open, it's running on the 4200 ports, which I'm going to copy and open within my browser here. And that should do it. So you should open it up. Let me close all this. So this is the project here. It's a project I got from this particular vendor. You can check them out. I'm not supposed to be advertising for them, but yeah, that's it. So this is the login aspect I'm trying to clean up. I've done part of it, but it's a very half not well done, and this project has been on and off because I've been busy with other things, but I would actually want to finish it within the next few weeks to get it going. So I'll log it out. So basically for the multi-tenant, I just want to quickly show something very important. Whenever a user is signing up, they create their email and stuff like that. Then this is a very important part which I've called optional at this point, but in the future it's going to be very compulsory, where user will create their ID and stuff like that, then they sign up. So whenever they create their ID, let me quickly show you the Firebase stuff. Where do I go exactly? Back to the Visual Code project over here. right here, you can easily see the parts within Firestore, how it's going to create a different database within Firestore, the users and things like that. So right now there's no existing user, so I'm just going to go here and open it up. Then you see your Firebase and your users here. So if I was to sign up here, so this is the part where things now gets interesting for me. Let me see, I create a user. You know what, I should be doing this in a different stuff. Let's see. Let me go here. Yeah, intentionally want to create in incognito so I don't get any like yeah, okay, I think that doesn't matter. So I just go example at sites.com, and I go full name, I'll give it John Doe, and user name, password, I'll give it something simple. Then the tenant, I'll call it example, or let me call it something more common, tenant one. Then here is where I now sign up. So I'll show you how all this multi-tenancy code works right now. Then I create sign up, then say sign up has been created successfully, and I click OK. Then I can go log in. So now I want to show you what happened in the backend. So in the backend, I head over here. I have too many icons. I always get confused on what to open. But basically in the backend, remember the port number. Let me also open it in the Firebase suite here. If you refresh this page, you'll be able to see this is the new user. This is the provider, that it was created with an email. There are many ways to do it. Then this is the date it was created, like your normal Firebase stuff. Then this is your the user ID. So one thing it does within that is that within the database, it's supposed to create a number of different things within Firestore. So when I created that user in here, the same user here, let me open it in a different tab, authentication. So whenever I created this user, I've noticed one mistake already within my plans. Okay, that's fine. So whenever I created tenant user, it's supposed to create this particular tenant. I'll explain it in the code right now. So when it creates tenant one, it's supposed to add a bunch of fields here. Then whenever the user logs in, it checks the tenant ID. It recognizes which particular user we're working with, then it loads the necessary stuff. Then same thing goes here. Also, this is like a plan stuff, so don't worry too about this just yet. I'll explain this later. I want to main focused on just this particular tenant stuff. This not to worry about. So if you now head back to okay, I believe I'm only using the Firestore. Now you can see how it's created. Sorry, how it created the tenant. It's supposed to add a bunch of things here and things like that. So this is a part of the code now I'm going to be fixing. But before I head on to fixing and adding the different collections and document names and things like that, and I'm going to head right back into the code and explain how the tenant was created. And also, just a reminder, the goal here is to ensure that whenever a user is created, once they have been created, this particular first user that was created will probably be the admin. So within the particular, they've created like a group, think of it like a WhatsApp group. So within that WhatsApp group, they too can invite users, they can suspend users, they can delete users. But whenever that user comes in and they log in, they will have their own set of database that Firebase only respond to. So tenant one will have its own set of sub collections and collections and things like that. And tenant two, whenever they come, it will have its own user. So if a user comes in and they are both in tenant one and tenant two, it will have its custom class to say, okay, this user is within this particular group and that group. So whenever they come in, the different users, it will know that this particular user is coming in as from tenant one, this particular group, or this, so that there is a separation there. So that if tenant two, if the user is also added tenant two, whenever you go to tenant two, like a different group, it will only load the related documents related to that. I'm thinking of a different other real life example app that does this. None is coming to the top of my head, but basically that's what it's all about. Now back to the code. So remember, I've done my sign up page here. My sign up page should be somewhere here. Other authentication, where I do the sign up. I've worked on my sign up, and this is where it picks up foundation on sign up. If the form is valid, it picks up the necessary stuff, including the tenant ID and tenant name. Right now I'm not using I'm only using one of them, which is the tenant name. Then it takes that stuff. Apart from that, this is the plan ID stuff. I will explain this later, not very important. So it takes, it sees the tenant name exists, it takes that tenant name, then it creates the ID, then the payload dot stuff is it now eventually sends it to the endpoint here. I'm not going to dwell too much on this. So on the endpoint here, looking here, let me just use my control click so that you go to the code. It goes to this particular endpoint here to do the sign up stuff, and basically when it does that, it gets to my backend here. So this is the other connection I was trying to make, and this is my backend where you have your different functions and stuff like that. In here is where it goes to my controllers, then my auth sign up. Within my auth sign up, let me find it. Sign up. Let me find it. Okay, yeah, this is it. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, so this is where the magic happens. So with this, it takes all this stuff from the front end. Some of them are defined, some of them are not defined. So my goal here in this particular stream is to fix the code and make sure it works. So basically what it does, it gets the user, if they already exists, it gets their user by email and stuff like that. Once it gets it, it tells the user already exists to block you. If that doesn't happen, if you are just creating the user for the first time within email, it takes the display name and trims it and stuff like that. It does all this stuff. Then this is where the tenant custom claims are done. This is a very important part. I have to explain what custom claims are. So let me quickly show you what they are. So it's a very important new concept if you're not familiar with multi-tenancy in Firebase. So again, let's use the Yes, use this to explain it. I'm going to also take this link. So if you've worked with ID tokens and stuff like that, it might quickly make sense. But think of it, the control, it's something that is very good for your authorization and authentication. Well, I'll say it's more about authorization than authentication. So you have your Firebase admin SDK, where you have your custom claims attribute on your user. So basically, what does it do? It allows you to implement various control strategies, like I was explaining, having your different various users, think of them from different organizations that log into your particular organization group. So that it only allows for the rules-based control in that particular scenario. So this custom claims can give users different levels of access, which are enforced on application security rules, something we'll be discussing later on. Probably not on this stream, but let's see how it goes. Remember, I have a plan that I've already set up, which I didn't explain yet, but it's a way of differentiating paid and unpaid stuff, subscribers and things like that. But this is a good way to explain. These are good examples. So common use cases is giving a user administrative privileges to access data and resources, defining different groups that the user belong to, and providing multi-level access. So I've somehow touched on this, or adding a unique identifier like the tenant one style for things for a different UID, remembering this particular scenario here let me just quickly show it in case it makes no sense. Let's show you that, like the real life example. It's nothing beats that. So take for instance this authentication. This is a different user ID here. So what you can do with that is that if a user has multiple accounts, let's say a particular user is in different groups, we're able to assign a different UID in that other system, basically keeping like separation of concerns, knowing that this particular user is this person here and this here, so that you don't have confusion whenever the person logs into two different groups and goes and loads the wrong database. You want to make sure that it only loads what is needed. So let's consider a case you want to limit access to the database node in admin content. So think of a database node here. Let me use return database. If you have a specific node, or let me use Firestore or a collection. In this case, you can call it a collection also. For that case, you want them to only be able to access tenant one. So basically you can create your rules based on that. The rules stuff is somewhere in here. I don't know where it goes again in the so you can define your different rules on how the user will interact. So this is another layer of security. Custom claims are accessible. That's the main stuff we want to really understand. Custom user claims are accessible via the authentication token. I'll show you how I did that. In the above example, only users with admin set to true, see, through the token, instead of auth.token the true, will be able to have read access to this particular database. As the ID token already contains these assertions, no additional processing or lookups is needed to check for admin permission. So that's the different layer I'm talking about that you can use to deal with it without actually defining it from inside of your front-end logic. In addition, the ID token is a trusted mechanism delivering those custom claims. All authenticated access must be validated via the ID token before processing the request. So it checks where it's coming from. It sees, oh, this particular user is going to this particular node and they are logging into this particular group. So it loads the appropriate stuff. So we'll see how this is being used, and we'll move on from this. So this is an example on Java, on Node.js, on how to use it. And you can propagate those custom claims to the client so that the client also will be able to control what is being seen and things like that. So if a user signs in or you authenticate after the custom claims are modified, let's say it changes, the ID code is issued as a result will contain the latest claims. That's basically the type of stuff you're supposed to show. Maybe it goes to tenant 1 or tenant 2 or tenant 3. It will now know. Then it will now reset the particular page and load the appropriate stuff. So yeah, a quick logic that will explain it. I think this is a good one. I have a code very similar to this. When you're processing sign up, you create your user. You've seen the code like this. Whenever that user is creating, you can have your this is custom. This is something you can come up. You can call it access level 9, 10, or you can just call it group 1. All this is just basically something you can set up easily. Then it will now set up your claims. It will know that this is how you now set the custom. You send out through that user's ID, then the custom claims. So the custom claims will be able to be verified like, oh, this is what we want. So go and load this particular database with this for this particular user ID. So this is what one of the major things I'll be adjusting on this particular code. I just need to remind myself of what is missing because it's been a while I taught this project. Then you can set up your database rules to enforce it and make sure that it actually works that way. Now back to our code. I hope I was able to explain it properly. But back to our code, the custom claims was where I stopped. Then you have your tenants. You check for your existing tenants. Let's say this is a user that is signing up to a particular group. So this is because I've combined the logic in a way that doesn't necessarily it's a more general logic. So what I want to do now is that whenever a user logs in, we know that they are logging to a particular organization. We want to take that organization's token ID, send it through, check it if that person is within that particular group, then load the necessary custom claims and the necessary database. So so if you read the comments here, said, so number one, we've talked about that, about how to create it. Then create tenant if requested, user becomes owner. So basically, this is also something that is very high level. If a user is signing up for the first time, they are creating their own group. This is what happens. So if the user is creating a tenant of their own versus somebody that is just joining a particular tenant, so this is in this case they are actually creating one. Then to create that username, take it and to assign the user role to them. Then that's where this happens, and it creates that new tenant 1 ID like you guys just saw, excuse me, in the code. So it does all this bunch of things. So but there's a bunch of things that are missing, like there's a breakdown here. Let me quickly show it. Back here I can close all this. If you look at the tenant, it was able to create the tenant and tenant 1, then it created the users, then it added all these things. You can see created by this person. That's how it associated the user ID. Then it calls it the tenant 1 as the ID and the name also as tenant 1. Then if you go in here, you now see the users that were created. These are the users. In this case, I could just call the person an owner, but this is the main owner and stuff like that. Like I'll have to create this and change it back to true because this person is the owner. But basically, that's what I was just trying to show. So basically back here, so that's where all this happens, and it does the merge. Then it goes into the tenant, create the user. We saw this happen just now. Then there's a particular stuff which we've not yet done. this is for the invite. If somebody is invited by a user to the stuff, you to send this particular invite ID and invite token, and this person can register from there. So we'll be dealing with that very soon. So it's officially 30 minutes on the stream, and yeah, I'm just trying to like get things going, and I think we've made good progress. So very soon we're now going to start writing code, and this is also a bunch of things we'll come to deal with later. Basically this is what you send back as your message and things like that, just for the backend to the front end to deal with. So yeah, so these are your custom claims. Now one other aspect to the custom claims I need to deal with is the login. So whenever an existing user that is under a particular group logs in, they have to be able to say, oh, this particular user logged in, and this is what we're supposed to load. They are logging into this particular users and things like that. So the strategy I can be using, they can either be, oh, they will log in, they will see the list of groups they belong to, then they'll click on it, then the custom claims will log into that particular database, or they will select, whenever they are logging in, they'll enter the ID of whatever they want to log into, and things will happen from there. But for now, I'm thinking of everything one-to-one. I'm pretending right now like a user can only belong to one tenant, a user cannot be in multiple tenants, just to keep things simple. Later on, we can expand past that particular setup. So yeah, so back to the Angular project here. Remember I logged in and it signed in. So if I remember the the username and the password, let me go back and check. I've already forgotten. Okay, this was it. So if I try to log in, I think it's gonna break because I've not yet done everything properly. So let me see. Logging in, let's see what happens. Yep. So I think it's broken down somewhere here, and we're going to check the console to see what the issue is. Let's see. Yeah, so I tried logging in. It says it gives me a bunch of different errors, but something about the interceptor is off 404. So this is where the fix now starts. Let me see what it said. Let me try again. Let me just clear my log. I try logging in. I know the password is not wrong. Identity token, things like that. Invalid credentials. Okay, let's see what that is. So whenever I try to sign in, it sets token, it gets connected user, then it breaks down. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I can change the password for me, just to be sure I'm doing everything right. Edit user. This is the particular, you can see it usually comes with a custom claim and things like that. You can see this is where I set it up in the beginning. So this user can have a bunch of tenants where it can be let me just quickly explain. It can have a tenancy where it's also like tenant 2 and it's a guest or a user or something like that. Yeah, so this is the password, and so right now it's not working. So I got the password right. I just wanted to check if I have everything right. What I'm going to do now is look, I'll keep this password. I'll try to log in again, then we can now work from there. If you open it, yeah, I added an extra one, so that was the issue there. So I click sign in. Let's see if it works. That still didn't work. Let me just reload the page, paste the email, then admin 1234, just to be sure that's the correct password. Then I click on this, then I click stuff. So it breaks down. I expect a different error now, so let's check what the different error will be. So I'm working from the errors into the solution instead of me doing it the proper way, because this is a project I've worked on in the past and I need to get it good. So it says invalid credentials, something about identity token. So let's see what the issue is. Okay, invalid credentials. Okay, so this is my code. Let me see what I did wrong. I go here. Okay, yeah, I know what the issue is. It's on the backend. We need to work on the login algorithm. So I'm going to work myself from here into the sign in. So this is here. Then we can now process the code. So this is the particular code that runs through when I click sign in. And let me find it here. Yes, so I need to go here and make sure it's loading properly. So because of the before, originally this code was done with the normal without authentication token login and stuff like that. Now I have to do in such a way that it logs in as an authenticated user but with multi-tenancy. That will become clearer now. For the endpoints, I go here. Yeah, this is the sign up. Wait, I'm a little bit confused. Okay, yeah. So I need to create a sign in button. I can see that this is not actually going anywhere. Yeah, yes, I'm just trying to log in the traditional way and stuff like that. But remember, we now have a multi-tenancy, so I have to now adjust it to go to a particular endpoint. So let me just do this. And I'll give it like a name like this just to differentiate. So I'll first do the signing as tenant one, then we can move on from there. So this is, I'm just checking to confirm if I did everything right. That's going to check get connected user goes to this endpoints. Okay, so I think instead of doing that, what I can do is I can do the get connected user, then go and adjust these endpoints. But for now, I don't want to mix this up this code because I'm using it in a lot of places. So I'll just rather do a more general login kind of thing. Let me see. Wait, where did this come in from? Wait, on login, then we go to sign in. On sign in, let's see. We go here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'll call it on sign in as tenants here. Yes, then that would have username and password. Oof, this is going to be an interesting set to do because this project is a little bit disjointed. I wasn't very organized. Don't ever make that mistake like I just did. Yes. Okay, so I can now continue from here. Just to ensure that everything is the same and is consistent, I'm going to do this. Let me see. You see, I already started messing and making corrections here from earlier before. But because I want to make sure everything is the way it's supposed to be, I'm going to do it like this. And just to ensure that everything is separated one way or the other. So I'm now back in here. I can save this. I can now head back to my auth endpoints. So we have the sign in here. Let me see if we have the sign up here. Let me see if I have a sign in. No, we don't have a sign in. So this is where I now need to start doing my corrections. I'm making sure the user logs in properly. We have a reset password, check if email exists, and we have a sign. Alright, so now let me quickly check the routes. That'll be the best place to start from. Let me just quickly explain this. This is the API endpoint. It has a config folder, controller folder, helper folders, my mail templates. Like I said, this is a project I've been working on, so I didn't start from scratch. It might be confusing, but yeah, we'll just get it going. So then this is the routes, and the two most important things to look at is the route and the corresponding controller folder. So here now is where I can now deal with my sign in as tenant. See, autocomplete is already helping me with that. Yeah, so what I can do is, normally I would just use ChatGPT do it, and how would you just I'll use ChatGPT to get the code going. So I'm now going to head back in here for my auth controller and create this function, which I'll be exporting out here. So I'll do it down here and I'll paste it here. Then I'll go ahead and create the async function itself. Then bam, 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 bam. Look at me, so lazy. I'm doing it with an auto controller, but we'll see how it goes, right? So that's it. Now It will be a miracle if this works straight away, but let's see how it goes. So, do I have authenticate users? Get user with this, stuff like that, and stuff like that. So basically, what the code try to help me do here is to get the user record, then use that user record to get the user, then add the custom claims if it exists for that particular user, which it does exist. Remember, I showed it here. Remember, I'm also, as I'm doing this, I'm also learning. This is the custom claims that we expect it to load for this particular user whenever we log in. Then from there on out, it will now return the necessary stuff. Then it allows the user to log in. All right, so back here. Excuse me a moment. Let me drink some water. All right. Since we've set that up now, we can go back to the front end here. Then we can sign as user. We have those 20 minutes more on this stream. I'm just trying to, like, guys, try to get this. I'll make this a more regular routine, but I'm just trying to explain this particular project and how it works. And just before I do that, just give me. Let me just take a break for 5 minutes. I need to get something ready here. Excuse me. I'll keep the stream on. Let me just turn off the video capture. Then I will then mute my audio. Excuse me. All right, all right. I'm back now. Excuse me, I turned on way too many microphones there. Okay, back. All right, so excuse me. Basically, what I said was I'll be working on is there's a lot of background noise. I hope you guys can hear that. So I'm working on the multi-tenancy here and things like that. So let's see if the project works straight away. It would be amazing if it does. So let's try to log in again. Trying to log in. Let me find it. Yep, this is it. Then I enter my password from earlier. Oops, nope, wrong one. And the password should be, the email should be this. Then I head back here and I paste it and I try to sign in. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it's a, excuse me. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yes, there's one important step I forgot. I forgot to publish the code. So there's a not publish code, but to run it and get it and get it to for local. I don't know what the to. I forgot to build the code. So basically, there's a step in here that allows you to build the code locally, so that especially if you are using TypeScript, there's a folder in here. Let me just quickly explain that. It goes in here, your lib folder, then it directs. It creates the appropriate stuff. So this is what the code is particularly looking at right now. If I could remember the language, I don't know. I'm a little bit blank. you go in here, you can see that right now it doesn't have that particular stuff. So if I was to run it, and that's if I remember the command, I think it's build. I'll be able to get it going. I'll need to check npm run, I think build. No, that's not the right one. Let me just quickly check and confirm what the right one is instead of guessing. So I go in here under functions, and I think I don't want to open any sensitive files. Yes, so I'm supposed to run this. Okay, I was in the appropriate folder, cd to functions. Then I can run this now. Then need to build the necessary stuff, this particular stuff. I can do like a build watch also, which I'll run just now, so that it watches the builders while I work on them. So I'm going to do my build watch now. So that any changes I make will be evident. Yeah. And right now back to this, it should have created the appropriate stuff. Let me just confirm within my lib folder here. Let's see. Yes, it has eventually like created it right now. So now I can go back in here and sign in again, or better still reload the page. Do this. Oh, come on. Go here. So this is where the actual code writing stuff, this is where things get interesting. I get the appropriate example at site.com. I should be able to remember that without actually checking. Example at site.com. Then I click sign in. Then it's okay. Yeah, it now it's giving me like, it's not giving me a 404, well, it's giving me a 404 error, but it's actually getting in to the places I need to get in. So it's telling me that the endpoint doesn't exist. I know it exists, so I just need to confirm what the issue is. So usually the issue is from in here. So I have this, good. Then I need to check the routes. Did the routes actually create it? The appropriate stuff in the routes, it does exist. This is it right here. Something looks strange. Sign in as tenant is showing, and you see the color is different. It should show an appropriate color. So let me just go back here, click on this actually, then we see it. It does have something going. So I now need to figure out what exactly the big issue is. So going back to the front end, wherever I used it, that'll be the sign in. This is on sign up. I need the on sign in. We just have a few minutes to continue this. Let me quickly find it. Okay, that should be on this page here. Okay, sign in as tenants. We click on it. Oh, this is on login. Okay, well, that's correct. On login, we look here. We go on login. Excuse me. Yep, so this is the appropriate function. We click on this. It goes, then it gets here. It goes, then it gets here. Sign in as tenants. It goes into this, no, into the routes. Then it goes. Wait, okay, I think I see sign in as tenant is correct. It's a post. It also validates. Then it goes in here. Okay, so I still haven't figured out what the issue is, but maybe I would now. Let's see. Let's check the logs here. Okay, so it's complaining about, let's see, sign up is not defined. Okay, like I said, it was that. So because I don't overthink about it, this is what I'll just do. Wait, let me see. Sign up. Let me see. Why is it complaining about sign up? Because it's there. Oh, it's a spelling error. So let's fix that. Yep. So that should be good to go. That's a weird ass error. Excuse my language. We're back here. Yeah. So now we can click on this and let's see what happens. Is a 500 error. So that's better. We have a different error now. So I'm totally okay with this error. So basically, we can now go back to the logs and see what the issue is. Because I said if it works at once, then something is happening. So it's talking about authenticate user is not. So that means that's a code from the other side that didn't allow. So what I can go back in here and authenticate user. Okay, so it doesn't exist actually. We have something else for this. Let me see what it is. Let me remember. How do we authenticate user in sign up here? We do. Okay, we get the user. Yeah. So let's do the same thing here. Ooh, but we need to log in, so that will not work because we need to log in with the username and password. But I think you guys get the idea. I'm a little bit not 100% here right now. I don't want to cancel the stream just yet, but let's see. Okay, so I'm going to do the lazy stuff. I'm going to go in here and ask ChatGPT to do it. But normally, let me just quickly explain this. Auth, you can get your user by authenticating them and stuff like that. One other thing you can do is you have to log in. You know, you're coming in as you're not just creating a user right now. Right now, you're actually logging in as that particular user. So in some cases, in that case, you have to first log in so I don't know, oh, this is the right person. Then from there on out, we'll now move on. All right, so let me just or should I just create the function? Yeah, let me ask ChatGPT to actually um, help me with the authentication of the user. So I'm going to go to my accounts and ChatGPT. Oh, before I do that, let me show you how you do that. You can do this without jumping straight to ChatGPT. I always advise this actually. So there's a login with username and password. You may have seen it in the front end code. So this is how you do it. Actually don't want to do this. I want to actually go to ChatGPT and do it. Go to the actual documentation instead of looking in the wrong place. So this is how you deal with it. You have your, let's find the method. Yeah, this is where you create the user, then you can sign in with username and password here. So once you do that, it will allow you to get the user. So you go here, you take your username and password and stuff like that, and you're good to go. So that's just one important aspect I wanted to show. In the current code, the way I do that is that I get the connected user. Let me quickly just search for that. So in the get connected user, this is it basically. You go in here, it gets the connected user. Without actually doing that, one other thing we can do is that before we actually get the connected user, we can just take a number of different stuff, but we need the email and password to be correct. So if you look at the original code here, before I started making all those changes, you can see in here on login, rather than doing that, what was done was that if you look at the code changes here, what it does was previously it signs in the user. So once the user signs in, and if you look at the code there, you see how it's signing the user. Let's quickly do that. If you go back to our authentication sign in, where is it? Sign in. Yeah. Oh wait, where is it? This is not the right place. Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Let me quickly check it again. I close this. I'll go here under the routes, then sign in. Okay, this is confusing. Maybe I'll moved it. Maybe that's what the issue is. Okay. But I'll do the lazy stuff. Heading back to ChatGPT. Just excuse me. I want to make sure that because it seems like I need to log in. Okay, I'm back. Let me. Okay, yeah, I'm back. Okay, So basically, okay, this is me setting up this stream. You can see my secrets. Okay, that me I can spell. All right. Okay, this particular page has a lot of things going on. It's a very long page, so it might be a little bit slow loading the answers. So I think I'll open a new chat page and stuff like that. But basically, this is where I've been asking, going back and forth with ChatGPT. But we have only a few minutes left, so I won't be able to like get this code going. But I think tomorrow, because I'm a little bit out of it right now, I will be able to set up this stuff and make it happen. And yeah, I just thought I should share 1 hour of my work with you. And by tomorrow, I will have made a lot more um, changes, and I'll be able to like show you how the code has worked and be set up, because there's a lot of mess in this code and there are things I need to resolve and get going. So thank you guys for joining me. I think I'll be able to explain multi-tenancy in a very straightforward way, and I think I was able to explain how the code was messed up and I'm walking back, signing up. Right now, the next step is the login. So I'll set that up before the end of the day, and I'll open up probably another stream later this week or tomorrow. If it doesn't happen tomorrow, then it's going to happen on Sunday. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, for joining me. I hope you have a good day. I've apologized for the disorganization, but at the same time, I think this is something that I'll keep on improving as I get this going. So thank you very much.